So coming into a high lunge, let's start with the right knee forward and bent and the back leg straight. Your back heel can come up off the floor if need be. And then with the hips parallel, you're going to draw the hips back as you straighten the front knee, bend the back, and then opposite way, bend the front, straighten the back knee. And let's move through this about 10 times, remembering to, as we're bringing the hips back, think about the tailbone reaching towards the back wall. And then when you bring the hips forward, thinking about driving that left hip point forward to get a nice stretch into the left hip flexor. So moving like with a little bit of resistance, like you're moving through water, but nothing extreme. You kind of really do want to get into the mobility of this. And then let's go ahead and switch that out. So bring your left foot forward, right foot back, coming up into our lunge position, and then pushing the hips back, getting a nice stretch in that left hamstring. And doing this for another about 10 reps here. And maybe each time you notice that you can drop a little bit deeper back and a little bit deeper forward. All right, on the last one, feel free to just hold and press away and then hold here. Now we're going to go ahead and do the one where we drive the knee down to the floor. So bring that back leg back a little bit further so you're in a wider lunge. And now we're going to contract that glute and just drop the knee down. And then try to extend the knee without coming up so high. And do this just a couple times here to get it nice and active. I'd say 3 to 5 times, and then bring the knee down to the floor, keeping that hip point pointing forward. And you can also press away here, get more elevation and space into the abdominal cavity. Now in this position, it's also really nice to kind of shift the weight into the hip, into the side of your right hip, and forward, side, and forward. So we're just moving in and out of this to get different attachment points. We didn't go over this one when we were working together, but figure might as well throw it into you. And then let's go ahead and switch that out. Come up and switch your legs. And then we're going to do the same thing, driving the knee to the floor and contracting the glute so we extend the leg back. And about 3 to 5 reps on this side. And then I'm going to drop the knee down, keeping that left hip point driving forward. And then I'm going to push to the left side and forward. Left and forward. This really does feel amazing. Continuing to kind of think about a little bit of pressure into the hands to continue elevating the abdominal region, getting a deeper stretch into the fascia of the psoas and iliacus. All right, so should be feeling a little more open in the hip girdle here. So now we're going to go into those single leg deadlifts. They're really not deadlifts. So this is the one where we are grounding down through. I'm going to start with the right leg, just propped up on the left toe. And then we're going to point the tailbone back and start to kind of bring the body forward until you feel that in the hamstring, and then contract to bring yourself up and contract all the way at the top. So again, and pushing the hips back, you're going to feel it in the hamstring sooner. I hope this isn't making too much of a noise on there. It probably was, my bad. And make sure that when you go to stand up, that you're really using the activation of the glutes and the hamstrings together to bring yourself back up, not the low back. In fact, we want to feel like there's an arch in the low back here. So if you need to place your hand in the small of your back to kind of feel that and encourage that, that may be a good idea. I'm just going to say 10 on each side. So then we're going to switch this side so maybe it helps visual. And same sort of thing. So we're grounding down, the legs locked out if it's accessible, or just a slight little bend. And then pushing the hips back, tailbones pointing towards the back wall. That will activate that stretch a lot sooner. And so when you come up, you are kind of driving yourself up, like with a little bit more momentum. And just a reminder, like I was starting to get a little bit too much on the front part of my foot, too much weight on the front part of the foot. Put the weight into the heel and push the hips back. And you'll feel that a lot more. So once again, 10 reps on this side. I'm not counting necessarily, so I might not be doing exactly 10 on each side. All right, so from there, we're gonna get our handy dandy little block. And hold on while I take these off. Okay, so you can do this with or without weights. I'm gonna just grab my 2-pound weights here. And then you're just gonna bring your foot up to the block. Standing up on the block, bring your opposite knee up, foot flexed, that helps. And then slowly bring it back down. And typically we inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. But you can do it however you want. And actually having light weight helps kind of stabilize the body a little bit. Doing it without weight, almost you can be a little bit more wobbly. So if you don't have 2-pound weight and you want to do this with weight, you could also grab 2 soup cans or 2 water bottles, anything like that. So make sure when you bring the knee up, you're also kind of bringing the abdominals into the spine. I'm a little bit wobbly because I haven't exactly warmed up today. Been working all day. All right, so 10 on each side, and you'll notice that that wobble will probably lessen as you do it more and kind of get a little bit more of that mind-muscle connection. Other side. And going slow on the way down is really the key to activate all of those stabilizing muscles. You probably hear my breath is getting shaky. I'm giving myself a workout here. All right, last one here. Make sure that when you come up, you're really contracting that glute, the standing glute. That's key. And then we're going to go into our J rolls. So a little heavier weight is helpful, but you can do this without weight also. And we're just going to stand up on your block. You don't have to have a block for this, but it's helpful as you get more limber. And starting with the neck, we're going to start rolling, articulating every vertebrae on the way down. And the reason we're on a block is so that when we can come down here, we can let the weight hang. We're not restricted by the level of the floor. And then start to bring it up, articulating each vertebra at a time. My mic is in my way. Let me adjust that. Okay, let's do that again. So starting with the head, tuck the neck. Really start rolling the shoulders forward, arching the thoracic spine, drawing the stomach in to protect the spine, and letting yourself go all the way down. And then coming back up nice and slow. Don't be scared. It's maybe a little painful, maybe a little sticky, but our spine is meant to move like this. And you can soften a little bit at the knees too. Don't feel like you need to have locked out knees for this one. But it's just very slow, very mindful movements. So I'm just gonna do those 3, I think that was. But you could do up to 5. And then we're going to, I'll go through the calf raises again real quick, but you can also just throw the calf raises into any part of your day. So double leg calf raises, we're just coming up on the ball of the foot and lowering down slowly. Really thinking about the heels being right behind the ankles. And you'll notice that it may be harder when you try to focus like that to keep the heels behind the ankles. And also engage the glutes here. That will help to engage that whole kinetic chain, that we're trying to get to be all online at the same time with each other. And then as that becomes easier, let's see, I think for you it was your left calf that's a little bit overactive on the right side, the outside, or sorry, the left side, and underactive on the inside. So then you just stand on the left leg only with the right leg kind of propped behind you and come up into your raise and slowly lower. Just isolating one side at a time. And you should feel this contracting through the hamstring too. You can do this while you're brushing your teeth, on the phone, literally anytime throughout the day. I'll do this in the grocery line. And then the other one that I don't think I mentioned to you, this one helps to open up the ankles and kind of get things all moving together. So we're just raising the toe, raising the heel, opposite the whole way. And I'll do this one if I start feeling like tension building in my feet, ankles, knees, and even into the hips. And you can actually start to get a little bit of movement into the hips too here, which feels great. So just throwing that one at you. Now we're going to get down on the floor and come into bridge. Yeah, you should be able to see me. And here's where we're going to come up into our bridge, squeeze, hold, and lower slowly. You can use your palms pressing into the floor to give you more stability. And do this for 10 reps. And also, as you're coming down, think about, it's not going to be dramatic, but just kind of think about the spine articulating down one vertebra at a time as you bring the hips back down to the floor. And when we go up, we're driving up with more force and squeezing and holding at the top. And now we're going to wiggle it out a little bit because you don't want to overstrain your back, but come up to bridge, squeeze and hold. And then with your feet flexed, step out, step in. And the more that you press your hands into the floor here, the less it's going to require your hips basically to stabilize you. So at first you may want to use that more in order to not over engage in the SI joint area, but Do this for about 10 to 15 steps if that's accessible without it feeling like anything's cramping or pulling. But do try to keep the hips at the same level of height as when you started. And then squeeze up and hold, let that set, bring it down nice and slow, and bring both knees into the chest, and then extend one leg and the other. Now we're gonna do our windshield wipers. So feet a little bit wider than hips distance apart, arms out to the T, and we're just gonna drop the knees to the left, knees to the right. And just kind of let this feel good, but don't throw your knees over. Just kind of move through your range of motion with intention. And this is kind of a little bit of a breather break from the other stuff we've been doing, which is nice. All right, then after you've done about 10 to 15 reps here, we're just gonna drop the knees off to the left and bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. And as we determined when we were doing this together in the studio, this may be a little bit too deep of a stretch at first. Now, to make it less dramatic, if you bring your feet a little bit further out, you may be able to access that a little bit easier than, say, if your feet are up here and you're dropped off, that's a deeper, tighter stretch. So play with that and see if you can get into a comfortable position and just hang out. And as this becomes more comfortable, you can actually activate into this stretch by contracting the glute of the knee that is down. So for me, this is my left glute contracting. So I'm pushing almost my left hip bone towards the ceiling. And that's actually giving me a deeper stretch in the psoas and iliacus in this region of the hip. And then the same thing, on this side would be contracting the right glute while the left ankle's on the right knee. Now, I want to mention, because my right knee is a little bit sticky and I just got a twinge of pain when my foot was closer to my butt. If your knee's bothering you at all, move your foot further away from your butt, or put a yoga block on the inside of the knee so that you're not trying to get this full internal rotation here. Eventually that should continue to unwind. All right, so now I want to go through the malasana squat work that we were doing. So let's come into our squat. Remember, the heels can be up off the ground. And we're gonna just place the fingertips on the floor and raise the toes, raise the heels. Let the feet kind of crack and pop, because mine do almost every time I start this. There's a pop. And then after you've done this a couple times, you might notice that we can kind of come back onto our heels a little bit better. And feel free to just play around with this. You can put your hands down and just kind of move forward. Just see what kind of movement we need to be getting in this position. Remember, the malasana squat's something that is a natural, primal human position, and the more that we do it, the more it's going to improve our digestion, improve taking the compression out of the low back. So even if I say I have an article to read or something, I'll come down into this position and sit here and read it on my phone. So I'm not just sitting in a chair or sitting on the couch. So then the one that we also went into is coming up onto the heels here. And you're going to shift your weight over on top of your left heel, pressing the left hip down. I kind of grab the right hip to stabilize myself. And then we come over to the other side. And you can just move through these. And at first, it might be too wobbly. So maybe you just have your fingers down here and you're doing something like this. That's okay. But you might also find that just by putting your hands on your knees like this, that you can kind of keep your balance and go in and out of it. You seemed like you were doing pretty good on this when we were doing it together. So going back and forth here, and then stopping on one side and really pushing away from that knee so you get more of a length into the psoas and iliacus and the obliques, abdominals, all that kind of good stuff. Same thing, other side. So that's your malasana squat. Now we're going to start to finish it up with our upward dog twist. So coming into a comfortable upward dog, you can have your thighs a little bit up off the ground if that's accessible. And then you're just going to look over your left shoulder, let the hips roll off to the right, and then reverse to the other side. You might even get some pops in the low back. This honestly feels amazing. It's one of my favorite things to do, and especially if you're traveling a lot, this is a great way to open up the abdominal region and release the psoas. And then come up into your upward dog and really kind of lift the chest up away from pelvis. And then you can drop the knees down and push back into your child's pose. And take a couple nice deep breaths here. And that is it. So I hope that you have fun with these exercises. My knees pop like popcorn. And I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of progress that you're making and where we can get you to. So thank you for your time and have a good one.